Hello, welcome to episode number 2. And like I said last episode, if there aren't many other episodes available at the time that you're listening to this one, then congratulations, you started listening to me before I got good. Refer to episode 1 if you have no idea why I just said that. So it's been over a week since the last episode, and I had kind of thought that this might be a weekly thing, and it still might be. I'm wondering, is it best to force a strict schedule? So, make Friday's podcast day, or be a bit more relaxed about it and just kind of, see what happens. So far, I've had to do the latter version because I just hadn't felt, motivated or inspired enough to put mouth to microphone since the first episode. I was buzzing after the first episode, I've got to tell you. It was fantastic. I was so pleased that I'd finally managed to do that. And that high lasted for hours. It lasted until the next day, I think. But it didn't drive me to recreate it a week later. So anyway, here we are, over a week later. Actually, it's almost 2 weeks since I did the first episode. And today I was compelled to record a new episode. It's the first time that that's happened since episode 1. I realised as I was running on the treadmill and listening to Russel Brunson again that I was feeling overwhelmed. Why? Well, it's been a really intense, busy time. Last week I had a meeting with a guy from a company who sell a product that I'm interested in investing in relating to training. So it would be a learning thing for me and some of the rest of the team. What happened after that caused me a bit of stress. It was a really interesting process for me to be on the other end of the selling. So the guy was a good salesperson. He knew his product really well. And he was really keen for me to buy on the day, there and then. And he talked about I can't remember exactly what he called it. Let me see if I can bring it back to mind. It's an incentive, and it's the incentive to buy quickly. And he even used a phrase that I've used in meetings, which is, it's about people who make good decisions tend to be the people who, people who make decisions quickly tend to have the best results. Now, I'm not 100% sure that that's true. I certainly don't think it's true for me. I do like to think about things before I make a decision. I don't like doing things hastily. So, he was keen for me to buy, and it was difficult but interesting for me to end that call. And I suppose at certain points, he had overcome all of my objections, but I was still really hesitant. And it gave me some insight into how people might feel when they are in a sales call with me. So, do you know how it might feel for your prospective patients to be in a sales call with you? I'm using air quotes around sales. I know that's not what we would refer to it as, but it is. It's a sales process, isn't it? So do you know how it feels for your prospective patients to be sold to, let's say at the end of a discovery visit or an eval? Have you ever put yourself in that situation? Just so that you can understand, they may have run out of objections, or the PT who they're in the consultation with may have overcome all of their objections perfectly, and they are still hesitant. So if this isn't something that you've ever experienced, if you haven't been able to put yourself in the position of your prospective patient, then I highly recommend that you try and do it, either with a member of staff, so they become they are the PT and you're the prospect, or if there's a product that you've been considering buying, book a sales call with somebody and be very, very aware of what they're doing and how they are leading you towards the close, and just see how does it feel. And you might actually get some some real good little pointers and tips that you can use in your own processes back in the clinic. So back to the feeling of overwhelm that I realized I was having today. I've also had, in the last few days, several meetings with people who are potential referral partners for us, for direct response PT websites, because I'm looking for ways to attract new website clients instead of being 100% reliant on Paul Gough. And just a quick little snippet of backstory here is, for anyone who doesn't know, I began my journey with PT websites about 6 years ago. I think it was in at some point during 2015. I had worked with Paul Gough for many years, and I had seen his business grow from just being a 3-location physical therapy business in the UK to then a 4-location, and then building this global media business. And I had been Paul's preferred web guy, and we still do all of Paul's website work, and I was completely reliant on him for referrals. So anytime somebody needed a new website who was in that world of Paul Gough, they knew who to go to. And as I've grown the team in order to keep up with the demand, I've realized that I am now as the business owner, not just responsible for my own livelihood, but 7 other people's livelihoods. And I realized that it would be irresponsible to rely solely on one referral source for our work, because if that, for whatever reason, did dry up, big regret time. So I'm looking at ways to attract more website clients and SEO clients into our business. And I've had several meetings with people who could potentially refer to us, and they've given me loads to think about. And you might think that someone whose business is all about marketing would have already figured this out, but I do to some extent, but it's always evolving. So one guy asked me if we have a referral program for existing clients, and I said no, and he asked why, and I found myself sort of fumbling and stumbling for an answer. It is something that I had wondered about, but never got any further than that. So, his suggestion was, for loyal clients, offer them a way that if they refer new clients into you, you would incentivize that with a monthly payment back to them, so that there would come a point where they would no longer be paying, effectively, they would no longer be paying for your services, because you'd be giving them so much commission back that you'd actually be giving them more money than they were giving you. I think it's a great idea, and I'm going to try and put that into place today, the beginnings of that, as soon as I finish recording this podcast. So, just going to go off on a slight tangent right now. I did decide on the drive into the office that I would record this episode before I did anything else, and I literally mean anything else apart from make a cup of coffee. I haven't even looked at my emails. I decided that I would start by making some notes, and this time, thankfully, having learned from last time, I skipped the part where I started scribbling stuff out on paper, because last time I did that I realised I couldn't even read it properly, so I had to then type up what I'd scribbled out on paper. So this time I skipped that, just started typing, printed out just a few pointers so that I don't completely lose the plot, and then I started recording. And here's a little tip for anyone listening who's been thinking about starting their own podcast but has found themselves putting up obstacles. You don't need to know exactly what you're going to say. And here's a cool little tip. There's a pause button on the recorder. So on the recording software that I'm using, and whatever platform you use to record, you're going to have the same. You don't have to continuously talk for 15, 20 plus minutes. It's the same with making videos, and I've said this time and again, and it's really important for people to remember this. You don't have to get it perfect in a single take. There's no medal, there's no trophy, there's no reward for doing that. You've got to get it right in whichever way is most easy for you to, if it means cutting it up into pieces or heavily editing it afterwards, that's fine. That's absolutely fine if it means that you can get it done and out there for people. So, pause. there is a pause button here, and if I did totally lose the plot, which it may have happened already, I'm not going to tell you whether it has or not. If I did, I could just hit the pause button and recompose myself and start again. So a bit like this. And I'm back. I took a little break there, had a drink of coffee, recomposed, and here I am. You couldn't tell, I don't think, could you? Maybe you could. Anyway. And of course you can easily edit the whole thing afterwards once you've finished recording. It does take time, yes, and that's why some people would hire that out to someone on the likes of Fiverr or Upwork, etc. But I found it's actually very easy to do it myself. It doesn't take that long. It might take me, I don't know, actually, I'll time it this time. I'm guessing it might take me half an hour to edit a 20-minute recording. I'm not talking about the audio quality, by the way. I'm just talking about cutting out the gaps and the swallows and ums and errs. I have to admit that Ricky helped me with the audio quality of episode 1, and I'm sure he's going to be absolutely delighted that he has to do another one. Episode 2 is going to need the same tweaks, please, Ricky. Ricky used to work in the music industry, and he has a really finely tuned ear for audio, and he tweaked the last episode just to make it sound better. I think a bit warmer, maybe a bit less echoey or something. I'm not sure. I'm not an audio professional. And he just told me yesterday that he's found 3 professional mics in his box of bits and pieces at home. So we're going to be able to do some even cooler stuff. Actually, I can't really say that, can I? Even cooler? We're going to be able to do some cool stuff in the future, hopefully. You have to wait and see what that's going to be. I have no idea. Okay, so to summarize, if you're thinking about starting a podcast, just do it. It doesn't have to be perfect, okay? And if you want any tips, or if you want to chat about the process or get some encouragement or support, please just reach out to me, Flemming at directresponsept.com. I'd be happy to talk about this kind of stuff with you. I find it really interesting. All right, so that's the end of that tangent. Now, back to what prompted me to record today's episode, back to this overwhelm. I know that plenty of people feel this, especially when they take a marketing program like Paul Goff's Accelerator. I've heard it more than dozens of times. What's the next scale up? Probably hundreds of times, people feeling overwhelmed. It's happened to me in the past, and I thought it was in the past, but there's just so much else to do, and it seems like there's so little time. So here's my plan to hopefully combat my feeling of being overwhelmed. It's just to make a simple plan. There's no breakthrough moment here. I'm sure it's just a cliche, but make a simple plan. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to start with figuring out this referral program for existing clients. That's something that since I talked about it yesterday, I've been thinking about an awful lot. I can't believe no one ever suggested it to me before. So big thanks to Joy Albritton at PT Marketing Secrets for suggesting it to me and for challenging me when I put up my resistance to it. So that's what I'm going to work on. I'm going to refine that. The way that it's going to work basically is it saves us the cost of having to acquire that client, which, as you know, it's expensive. You've got to pay for Facebook ads, Google ads, all kinds of things come into the acquisition of a new client. So if we can create this referral program and it works, I'm going to be very happy with that. What else? Oh yeah, so if you're not running a referral program in your clinic with your current patients, why aren't you? Is it because you've tried it and it didn't work? Or is it because you just don't think it will work? And if you don't think it will work, why not? What do you think is the reason that it won't work? Reach out to me if you want to discuss that. So once I figured out how our referral program works exactly, and I just mean to start with, I'm not saying I'm going to get it right and it's going to be perfect and it'll be the referral program that we use forever and ever. It's just something to get started with. I can tick that one off the list, and then I'm going to prioritize the other things based on the amount of effort required and the potential return on that effort. And then I look at what I can delegate. There is a strong possibility that what I'm calling overwhelm is actually just excitement about all of the possibilities, all of the things that we could be doing to generate new business, and all of the things that could happen as a result of that as well. So it could just be excitement mixed with frustration that I can't implement everything as quickly as I would like to. If you have any thoughts on that, I'd love to hear them. And that's the end. That's all I've got for you today. Thank you for listening. I hope something that I've talked about has been of benefit to you. And don't forget to follow us on social media. You can find all of our links at the bottom of our website at directresponsept.com. And the podcast name, I think I've settled on it now. If you listen to episode 1, you'll know what I'm talking about. I think we're going to call it Direct Response PT Websites Podcast. I did have a play around with words that include the letters PT in them, such as symptomatic. That's just a joke. I did not consider that realistically as a title for this podcast. I'm just giving you an example. But there are literally hundreds of them. And I got lost down a hole for quite a while, and I realized this is just a waste of time. So the Direct Response PT Websites Podcast, it is for now. If you have a better suggestion, please email me. And that's it for today. Thanks again for listening. Over and out.